2, 3, 4.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Power of Music Thinking. My name is Christoph Zürn, and this is the podcast for people with a musical heart and a wicked job. We're looking for stories, insights and tools from the big world of music to inspire leaders and followers to listen, tune, play and perform in whatever field you're operating. My guest today is Raf De Keninck, Executive Member, Director of Education, Research and Organization of the Design Academy Eindhoven, one of the world's leading design schools. And Raf is also a performing musician, clarinet player and conductor. He played, for example, at the beginning of the 2000s, 300 concerts a year. We start with sharing the incredible dreams he had as a child and a unique ritual he did in his adolescent years. And we get some insights into his leadership skills. For example, the advantages of having an outside view combined with excellent listening skills and the practice of not knowing, and how to let inspiration flow in two ways. So when you're open, then people also will be open. We talk about leading and following, and Raf explains what it means as a conductor to have a total overview and a well-defined score, and how you can lead without explicitly leading. And there's another story of a conductor shouting at an orchestra, and how the musicians were teaching him a lesson. All right, here we go. Welcome, Raf. Welcome to the Power of Music Thinking.
Thank you.
Nice to finally come together. I think it was more or less 1 year that we spoke very briefly.
It was quite an adventure.
And today's the day. Yeah. We're here in the Design Academy in Eindhoven.
Yes.
And I always start my talks or my conversation with one question. And it's like a ritual, and it's my favorite question, and it goes like this: what was your first sonic experience, or album, or performance that had an impact on you?
Oh, that's a nice question. Of course, there is. In my life, there was always music because my father was a little bit. The driving force to me around music. So he was all the time there and a musician by himself. And there was a quite curious thing when I was really young, like 4, 5, 6 years old. I dreamed about orchestras.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy story because I was always dreaming about orchestras and I was conducting the orchestras. Even I was not quite already busy with conducting or something. It was and suddenly it stopped. And I was really afraid, like, oh, now it's away. This day by day experience every night, and then suddenly it stops. And then of course my father did an introduction to many different styles of music, most of them classical, but he was by himself a jazz musician. So I heard a lot of music. But then when I was, I think 13 years old, I had a kind of ritual, and it is also a little bit special because between my 13 and my 17 years, every day I listened to the eighth symphony of Mahler.
Oh, wow.
Every day.
Hang on, that's the Symphony for the Thousand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
It's a big noisy thing. Why, I don't know. I remember I had a kind of connection with the library, and they had some recordings, and suddenly I found this disc. I rented it. I went home, and I was really totally impressed about the piece. Actually, I think a lot of elements of this piece are also in my character and the person I am. And every day I was listening to this symphony at least once, and every time I discovered new elements in it. and it was the recording with Schulte, Chicago. It's fantastic recording, and yeah. So now I know this piece by heart, every note. Later I discovered the score, and I study it when I was in the conservatory. But that's the main piece of my life, let's say.
Wow, unbelievable. I really have to process what you just said, and maybe the listener too. So just in the first thing, how can you as a child dream about conducting?
Yeah,
so
that's really special. I don't know. I really don't know. It was there, like your father is there, your mother is there, your family is there, and suddenly it was also away. So when I'm really a little bit believe in strange things, I think, oh, maybe I was in former life a conductor or something like that. But yeah, let's say that's I don't believe that. But there has to be some. There was a kind of influence that I took it with me, and had like 1 or 2 years these dreams. It stopped. It was like, oh, now I'm losing it. Like maybe the biggest fear of musicians losing this special feeling. Sometimes you have it, like, oh, now and then it comes back. Now these dreams, yeah, of course I dreamed from conducting later, but it was not the same intense feeling.
Wow.
Bah.
Wow.
I can't explain, but that's maybe that's one of the first things I remember from life, because when you are so young, you know.
And maybe these are the nicest things, the things that you can't explain, because they keep you busy in one way, and it's also non-verbal. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about you? So who are you? What do you do for a living?
So actually, there are a few things important to mention. Originally, I'm from Flanders, and I'm working and living in the Netherlands. That's also a quite big experience, I can tell you.
And to some listeners, we have to explain that Flanders, then you mean Belgium?
Yeah.
Or the Belgium-speaking, or the Flemish-speaking part in Belgium?
The Flemish-speaking part of Belgium now, you have all these political situations that and it's hard to explain. But Flanders is something else than Belgium. So from my origin, I'm from Flanders. Maybe the Dutch people say easily like Belg. You are from Belgium, but I think most of the people living in Belgium they say I'm from Flanders, I'm from Brussels, or I'm from Wallonie. Yeah. So I'm from Flanders. But yeah, I'm now. I've got stuck in the Netherlands, but from originally I'm a musician. I studied at conservatory in Antwerp with a quite famous clarinet professor, Walter Boeykens. And I studied also conducting and all these things you have to study. And then I became a musician, so I was one of the lucky guys who could live without teaching. So I was just performing all the time. I had my own ensemble. Somewhere beginning 2000, I was conducting and playing 300 concerts in a year, so it was quite a lot.
Wow, 300 concerts in a year.
It was.
How many days has a year? Let me see.
Yeah, it was crazy times because I was living like 24 days in a month in a hotel and traveling and doing crazy stuff, and have a really nice life and so on and so on. But then there came a crisis in 2008, and that was the first time I was like, okay, now I don't remember, I was 35 years old or something like that. Oh, I have to think about the future and all these things. And then I started to teach at the conservatory in Tilburg. And then after 6 months or something like that, they asked like, okay, there is a vacancy to become director here. Yeah, maybe it's good you do take these exams and so on. And so I decided to do that, and I was there for 8 years, and I'm planning to go abroad. There were a few conservatoria in Europe possible, and suddenly I received a call from Design Academy, and I was surprised because it was also a little bit like, okay, but I'm a musician. And but okay, we did these rounds, this typical selection procedure, and on the end, I remember me. I was in Portugal enjoying a holiday, and they called me. They said, "Okay, congratulations, you can start." And I was like, "Oh, holy! Now I have to, to be director of a design school, and is that what I want to do?" And so on and on. But on the end, for me, it was really important that a design school choose a conductor as a leader. And so I said yes, and we started 3 years ago. And it's a fantastic journey because it's actually there is a kind of big paradigm in this institute, because it's a world famous institute with students from around the world, with teachers from around the world. It's high level, but it's just an institute with 800 students, so it's really small. So it seems like really big, but on the end, it's just a building with 800 students in it. So, and this paradigm is also complex to handle, but really interesting to guide. And of course, I'm not working on my own. I have a really nice team, and a colleague, Joseph Grima, living in Italy. He's a creative director. So yeah, that's happening now in my life.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a very special one, because Design Academy Eindhoven, it's world fame, and what you just said, people come from all over the world just to be here, and to be led by a musician.
Yes.
Or so. Did you know what did they explain to you why they choose you?
Yeah, no, of course, on that moment they don't explain, but afterwards you feel like your approach, and maybe also the fact, and for me that's for me personally, it's the most important thing. I can really be really honest and tell colleagues and teachers, like, I have no clue. I don't really not know anything from what you are saying. So explain it to me and give me really open advice, and we can talk on a really open way. And of course, when you are leading a conservatory, everybody sitting on the table knows you are a musician.
Yeah.
You have this 20 years of practice in the field, and you can say, I don't know. But now I really can honestly say, I really don't know, but help me. And this position, this is a really interesting position. And I think maybe, of course, conducting on its own it's also a little bit connected with ego and taking position. But maybe this is really interesting to practice also as a conductor, because when you work with an orchestra and you do a second Brahms or you do another piece, of course you have conducted it 10 times, but the orchestra has played it 200 times.
Right.
So actually flow this inspiration into ways. That's really interesting, and that's what's happening now. So and that feels really good.
So you fall back in that sense on your listening skills.
Yes.
Because also as a conductor, you don't make any sound. Okay, the orchestra is your instrument, but let's face it, you're also a clarinet player. There's a difference between making directly a sound and making indirectly a sound, and that's interesting for leading people, or maybe I don't know if you also call it leading, but helping them to be their best.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they would have a choice between a conductor and an improviser, what would be difference? Because the improviser is making a noise, because an improviser is always performing, has always his instrument, and on the other hand, it's very hard to listen if you play.
Yeah, that's all true. I think there's also something in the idea of an overview, having the overview, having the score, having this taking this part of the job, And to be honest, we have such a high skilled teacher group here. I think it's just they need support. I'm not calling it really leading. I think also an orchestra, where starts the leading and where stops it, because I once met a really smart old conductor, and he gave a masterclass Verdi Requiem, and I was conducting this in London, and I was thinking, okay, I go to this masterclass because then I can prepare, maybe get some good tips. And he told, like, okay, when I'm conducting, I'm not conducting and then I stop and say, you are too early, you are too late, you have to do this, you have to do this is more legato, and so on and so on. No, I listen to it and I adjust my way of conducting so the people are doing it without knowing they are doing that. So you solve a lot of problems, a lot of challenges by acting on another way and seeing possibilities, and that's a trick you only can do when you have totally overview.
Yeah.
And I think leading between brackets such an institute as Design Academy, but maybe also other institutes, it's more about having this overview and good listening skills, and then on the end somebody has to take the decisions, of course. But this yin and yang, it's almost yin and yang between the two.
It's leading and following.
Yeah.
So sometimes you follow the orchestra, and sometimes they follow you, and sometimes you try to lead, and sometimes the other way around.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way, the good way to work, because you have also a lot of conductors. They are really strict in what they want and not giving some air or some space to the orchestra. Of course, that can be a style, but that's also a management style. Yeah? We all know these strong leaders, they're really hard guys who go from the power. I think music, what's the most inspiring thing in music is like coloring the air, like this first note in a concert hall, putting down, like, here it can grow or it can be. And secondly is this, and of course you will recognize, or all musicians will recognize this feeling, like when 1 second is getting 2 seconds, like this space within the space, this space within the beat. And of course there is a beat and there's a timing, but then between the beat is space. And when you are not giving this air, also in a company, but also in music, then this will not grow. And often you see, when you work a long time with people or with an orchestra and sometimes doing the same pieces, then suddenly there is immense space to do something in the timing. But the music is not changing, but you know, that's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. To make the link to the conducting, it's also you're the chief listener, and you are also the one who's really paying attention. So and that's not, let's say Big Brother is watching you, but it's the other. You know, your best friend is watching you because you're in this together. So I like that very much. But on the other hand, you just talked about the score, and in classical music you need a score, and it depends on the kind of music. Let's say real classical music, so years ago, 200 years ago, everything is written exactly. Since Beethoven, we all know what the beat is. So MM, so Melzel's metronome, or BPM, beats per minute in modern times. And in my theory, I use score in two ways. I say one. And by the way, that's more the following part. It's also leading and following, like a yin and yang, and what you just said. And the one is more showing, and the other one is to do. Meaning, if you have a vision of a company, and you say where you stand for, you get a lot of people that get inspired by it, but the next day they don't know what to do. Yeah. And the to do would be, as the analogy, would be like if you're playing Beethoven Fifth and you're the trumpet, you know you don't play in the first 8 bars, for example. And I can imagine that there some kind of players, and then if we look from classical music, would say, okay, a classical player, he wants the score, he wants exactly what you know,
Yeah.
and maybe listens to all the different variations of, let's say, keep it on Mahler 8.
Yeah.
And if you're a jazz player, yeah, it's one chord would be enough, and if you're a free jazz player, you just start and you listen and you develop the thing along. So how does this idea resonate with you? Or maybe my question: what's your score?
Oh, what's my score? I think it's always starting with where we come from and where we are now, and then looking around to all possibilities, but not so the easy possibilities laying around, because I really love problems and challenges. So when I read an article or I read a newspaper about a company who has a lot of problems, then I'm almost calling them. This is interesting to solve this and to look into the problems. And then when you are honest, then you can imagine that there are many guys before you look to this problem and they came with the most, maybe simple or the most natural solution. So looking further, and that's also what I'm doing when I make these improvisations on my clarinet. Like, okay, you can play on a normal, traditional way clarinet, but then you can also go into the deep and try to play two clarinets together once in your mouth and see what's happening there.
Two clarinets in your mouth.
Yeah.
Like Rassan Rollenkirk in jazz, for example.
Yeah. So and then see, okay, what brings this in sound, what brings this in technique. Or you can say, okay, I will put one piece away, or I have done a long time improvisations on alto clarinet from 60 years old, and it was impossible to make sound with this instrument because it had a crack from like almost 1 meter long, and then I was playing on this instrument like 30 minutes, but it was impossible to play, and then finding solutions and finding certain sounds. And I think also when you are guiding people or guiding a company or an institute or whatever, you have also to go in these non-conventional ideas because, and of course you have always to come back in reality. You can't do this in a kind of, but this trick or this exercise is almost an exercise to find new things and to come back. It's the same thing when I'm listening to music from Iran or music from I don't know where. For me, it was also really interesting to come back to Mozart and to use this way of playing, not this way of playing actually totally, but some ideas about articulation or about coloring, transpose it back into this performance of a Mozart piece or a Beethoven trio or something. And then I'm really, that's for me making music actually. And of course, for some people it's going too far. And of course you stay within this framework, you don't do crazy things, but there are a lot of performances I'm a little bit bored. A bit boring performances, a little bit like, okay, but I know what's coming now, and it's like when you take a book and it's a book like every book, and then you are not, you think, oh yeah, it's a book, but suddenly you are attracted to something, and this attraction, I think this is really important in performing, but also in leading and managing and bringing a company or an institute further into the future. And is this the right choice? You never know. But that's also not so important. When you make improvisation, sometimes you get stuck somewhere. You think, oh no, I don't want to be here. But yeah, that's a nice thing of going in this to take these journeys and to take these directions. Yeah.
Mm. I want to cycle back to the alto clarinet with a crack, because that's you can have different perspectives on it. One would be from you blow into it. This is not a decent instrument. Let's put it away. That would be one. Let's say also, if you want to play this instrument with Mahler 8, you wouldn't use it. So it's you wouldn't do it. And the other thing is to take something like it is and try to listen to the instrument while you are playing it.
Yeah.
And for me, this, let's say, that could be an analogy in how you lead people.
Yeah.
So not just having a team of people with their job roles and what's on their business card, but trying to, okay, who's here? Who is in the room?
No, of course. And sometimes you have, you work with people like, like let's say somebody who is doing the financials and is doing really, is acting on a strange way, or is using a language you are not used to. But you can fight to it, and on the end you can say, okay, go away, I don't need you, I take another one. But I think you have also to embrace specific people, or it's a part of us, you know. And of course there are limits on it, but this embracing, like this alt clarinet is having this problem, and we do together. But this is one of my instruments. Actually, it's at home. I have a row of instruments, and it's standing there. It's not in a separate room or something like that, or laying around. It's one of my tools, one of my instruments where I'm using. So I think it's the same with people, even more, and it's coloring your life. It's coloring your company. It's also, it can also. Like this instrument will bring you in a certain direction, you know. When you can only make air sounds, then you can play multiphonics or something on it. When that's on, but so you can have this, you can make air. So then it's like with some people, this is it, but can it be a specific part of our being, of our existing, and then you see it's really beautiful, and then you get in love with it. And I think this love part is also a really important one in a company, not like real love, but it's this idea of love and understanding and supporting and give people chances to grow, give this alt clarinet chance to come again on stage. And be the alt clarinet what it is. That's really important, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's an open door for me now to ask further the question: do these instruments, and we still stay in the analogy, do these instruments have expectations? And do they have expectations that you might? How do you know what they expect from you?
Oh, I think when you approach it in such an open way, you get all the time back what you give. It's like conducting also. You have this nice story. There are a lot of stories, but you have this story with the conductor who is shouting to the orchestra and really angry, and you know this typical old way of working. And after a few rehearsals, the conductor comes on stage and counts like 3, 4, and there is nobody playing. And the concertmaster is standing up and he said, "Maestro, these are you without us." So
teach him a lesson.
Yeah. So and I really believe that's also in normal life. When you never give something, you will never receive something.
Yeah.
And when you are open, people will also be open, and then you have a kind of atmosphere where you can really open talk to each other, like, okay, I see this and this, and maybe you can go for this one, or this is maybe not. It's like a good friend, you know. This open that you say, okay, but Raf, you want now to run a marathon, but I don't think it's such a good idea to. Maybe you have to start it with first 5 miles or something like that. So that's this good advice and then professional advice. I think this is the open way. And when you come on stage with this alt clarinet and you use the instrument to play Mozart, then it will not work, never. You know, and that's with people also. So you have to the context and the openness to approach each other is really important.
And it's also what's on the concert poster. So if there's Mozart and you don't play it, that would be, you don't meet the expectations of your audience.
No.
But if they come and say, interesting concert, unheard sounds, then everything is possible.
I did some experiments with it, but because once I was like a kind of fixed guest in a certain city in Flanders, and I always played a little bit, classical music, but also some more contemporary music, not improvisation, but written, but a little bit not too hard, you know, like medium, medium rare, and for many years. And then suddenly they asked me again to play, and I was thinking, maybe I can. I heard a piece. A few nice pieces for soprano, voice, and clarinet. So it's really rare. 2 instruments and no harmony instrument or something like that. So, and I approached a singer and I said, okay, do you want to do this program? Yeah. When is this? Next year, September 2023. We will see. Then a few months later, you remember the concert? Yeah, we will see. And then suddenly it was August. She was on holiday, I was on holiday. And then we had just a chance to meet each other 30 minutes before the concert. Like not before, but a few days before, we had 30 minutes to drink coffee. And that was it. And suddenly it was there. It was like, okay, this is a little bit hard. And you have all these people coming with a kind of... And then we decided, so... Make an improvisation. Let's make a 1 hour improvisation. And of course I did an introduction like, okay guys, you are here now for a concert, but you know there's no music. And even there was no rehearsal. We have just this beer, how do you say it in English?
Beer filled?
Beer filled. we written like, okay, first 10 minutes you do this, then you do it, and then you know. And it was just a few months after I have done this really amazing vision quest. Maybe you know this idea. This is something from the Indians, and actually, really practical. You go to sit 24 hours, or even a little bit longer, on a mountain all alone, just sitting down. You are not allowed to sleep, and you have to listen to nature and what's going around you, and then afterwards you speak with shaman about all these things you heard, and he's translating it in amazing things about your life. It's really a fantastic experience. So and I explained to the people like, okay, I had these experiences. The singer was in a Buddhist monastery for several months, and now we meet each other. And the audience was really first of all surprised. So it's possible to do this. To be honest, we did the same for a kind of music club in the Netherlands, and that was a little bit not so had not so positive end, because people came in the room like full dressed. And they were really stiff, you know. They came to a Mozart concert, and
they had expectations.
And I had a red dress, an Indian dress I bought when I was in India. So they was really like, "Why are you wearing a dress?" You know, it was a culture clash. And you felt we were playing. You feel the audience, of course, and I felt some. How do I have to? And in the middle of the concert, I stopped it playing and I said, "Let's sing together." And I started to sing a Yiddish song, and it was it was really special.
Can you sing it for us? Just that we have an idea.
Yum pum pum, and so on and so on, and they were really like, yeah, please sing, and everybody sing, okay, and then and then afterwards there was a kind of reception, and one guy said, I didn't like to sing. It was stupid. Like this. So so people have to also be, and that maybe that's the same in a company also. Everybody needs a kind of certain open view to the topic, because and sometimes in education that's hard, because you have professionals who are just doing this specific thing in education for many years, and then to winding up their view. Of course, they are fantastic professionals, high level, but they are just doing this little segment. Maybe it's the same like making with a classical orchestra, professional orchestra, an improvisation. People say,
right.
"What are you doing?" No, I don't make this noise. I don't want. And the CEO, and I'm not paid to do this. And now it's 12 o'clock. I have to leave. And you get suddenly this problematic situation. But
I like that vision quest that connects to something that we had in earlier episodes about deep listening. You might know Pauline Oliveros, and there's a lot of about it. I will go in 2 weeks. I will go into the Pyrenees with Hans-Joachim Redelius for a workshop, and that's called Deep Listening 2. So that goes even further, and it also connects to John Cage, to 433.
Yeah.
And I can share with you, I did on the first Design Thinkers conference, I did a breakout workshop, and I told them about the piece 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence, and then we performed it after lunch.
Okay.
Without telling the people what it is. The people were encouraged to listen and to hear.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. Then you get a discussion, what was it? Is this music? Is this a joke? Is this whatever? And actually it's about the deep connection with everything that's already there, in a room, in a meeting room, on a mountain. So that really resonates a lot with me. I want to just come to one point you just mentioned, and that's actually more about organization. Does the way that you are and think, so even start as a young boy dreaming about conducting, do you think this has an effect in the way how you're leading the Design Academy?
Yeah, totally. Where shall I start? I think this is really affecting everything in life, I think, but especially because you are aware when you meet a new orchestra, and you come in this or new group of people, a new compilation. You have these few minutes to feel and to recognize atmosphere, to recognize characters, to recognize situation, and to put yours somewhere on the field where, okay, I'm here and I'm standing for this and this and this, and you can approach me like this and this and this. And this awareness that people look to you and that they certain way need you, but also don't want to need you. Because the most pleasureful thing is to work in a company without a boss, and maybe also to play in an orchestra without a conductor, and being aware that you have this position, that you have moments you have to disappear. There are moments you don't need to be there and standing like, okay, no, just disappear and let the flow go. And then sometimes you say, okay, but this is dangerous, or here I want a little bit more color, or not non-color, or what even. Then you appear. And I think when you do this with respect, the same respect you approach musicians, of course, then they allowed you. They will allow you to be there and to guide them on a certain way. And then when you give them space and respect back, then there's again this flow, this circle. So I take a lot of my experiences as a conductor into my day by day work. Yeah, yeah, and even on that way that I can't. Sometimes I can't imagine that when you are not a conductor, you can lead a group of people. But that's also nonsense because you have different approaches, of course. But it helps me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, a beautiful picture of that leading and following or accompanying each other.
Mm-hmm.
You walk along, or you're part of a certain part of the journey, and then you depart and you wave goodbye, and then you meet again.
In that way, you have, for me, one of the most inspiring and most fantastic pieces in music history written is the Ligeti Chamber Concerto. And that's a piece that's like guiding a company or an institute. It's like you have a lot of moments that's just in timing and with figures, repeats, and really freely. And it's such a good composition that when you conduct this piece with students in Porto, what I've done with the conservatory, then it's working. And when you do it with high-end professionals here for the radio in Flanders and so on, then it's also working. So you can't. It's impossible to break this piece down, and there are such nice combination of really difficult and complex metric things in combination with totally freeness, and then you get also this cage feeling, like what's the music, what's there, what's not there, what I'm, and then the question like, okay, what I'm hearing, are you that also hearing? Why it's coming like that? And so this piece has a lot of similarities with, for me, of course.
It's also experiencing something together.
Yeah. So and it's for me it's a big inspiration. So but every day, of course, you have some really hard days as a director, but also as conductor, I can say. But every day is really is full of inspiring moments and lessons you learn, like in music. You every time you play or perform or rehearse, you learn something. Yeah, that's also like in this institute. You're working around projects, and then you start with a kind of opinion, and then you but maybe this is also possible. We can do it like that, and I think this way of approaching situations, problems, challenges. It's really important to stay sharp and stay on the job, because it's a quite demanding job to work in an institute like this. And,
absolutely. One question, or maybe one of the last question. What kind of music do the students hear? How do they listen to that organization?
Yeah, that's fantastic. First of all, the music that they are listening is quite surprising. It was Joseph Grima, my colleague, came to me, and we started here a radio. So students has their own radio, they make radio, and there was a party or something like that, and I went to my hotel in Milan, and Joseph was still there, and he texted me like, "It's your music playing my music," and it's quite similar with the improvisations and the really abstract music. Of course, there's a lot of electronic music they make. And last week I was in a concert. I'm chair of a little concert organization here in Eindhoven, and they work together with students, and they did a concert for students by students. And first act was quite DJ acting, electronic music, live sampling thing. It was interesting. Second act was really amazing. I was blown away by the performance and going over the edge, but not a little bit. But it was really amazing what was happening there. And so the music from the students, let's say, that's when we talk about music, then it's really surprising, not so far from my world. The music, and that's now is the complicated part of the answer. the music in more abstract idea regarding institute and studying. That's quite a challenge because we have many international people coming from everywhere almost. They bring their own culture, they bring their own behavior. Above that, they are young people between 17 and 25 most of the time. They are growing up. They look like full grown, but sometimes they act on another way. But they are really smart. They are really thinkers. They are also really good in their passion. So that's a mix that it makes like sometimes a really complicated piece. And then then it's like the way you select pieces for your ensemble when you make a year program. I for 20 years ensemble contemporary music from living composers, so everybody sent me pieces, and then you really have to select like, okay, this is honest, this is new, this is maybe old, something not interesting thing, and so also in these conversations you have to select, and you have to, but also be open and communicate on a really good basis. So students know they can reach me every day, every moment to have a talk with me about everything that they want. And in the beginning it was when I told, you can call me every day, not on Sunday morning, but I'm open. They was laughing a little bit, but it was not happening. But now more and more, they're really like, oh, can I talk a little bit with you? And sometimes about music, about a music project, or some research about music, but also about other issues, or the institute, or some lessons, or so. But that's all. That's a real challenge. It's also really important or interesting for me because you can be as contemporary that you want to be, but on the end you are born in a certain year, and you have a certain framework. That's also with improvisation. You can say, you always have a framework, even when there is no framework. Then so. And you approach things like your framework is allowing this. And students are really stretching this, and in that way we are living in really interesting times where there is a kind of really big shift coming on or happening actually now around diversity, about gender, about everything what you want is changing really fast changing cycles. So that's interesting. It's like there are all the time new instruments and new composition, new combinations, and like, oh, okay, this is also possible. So maybe it's a little bit like the alt clarinet.
Maybe that's a very good point. I think to call it a day. I think also these frameworks or these personal perspectives that makes it interesting, and also these patterns, and that you can take from analogy from music to design, but maybe also from design to music. So thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you and moving from one part to the other, and wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate this, because listening is one of the top leadership skills, and I feel honored about this. It is my mission to find, create, and share inspirations for meaningful collaboration based on music analogies. If you want to support this, please subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating, or write a review on iTunes or Spotify. And more inspirations can be found on musicthinking.com. We have a blog, and you can download the Music Thinking Framework. And finally, I would love to hear your feedback. And if you need help with a business challenge, please reach out to me via email, podcast@musicthinking.com.